Hello, and welcome to our webinar on managing big emotions. Let's start with some questions to get you thinking about what big emotions may look like in your family. Does your child get upset at the smallest things? Is your child happy one minute and sad and angry the next? Does your child get upset and you don't know the reason why? Or does your child display lots of different emotions throughout the day? According to Anne Frank, feelings can't be ignored, no matter how unjust or ungrateful they may seem. Did you know, by the time a child is 3, their brain has reached about 80% of its adult volume? When you think of this, when the brain is growing at such a rapid rate, development isn't necessarily going to be sequential. Therefore, big emotions happen because children's feelings develop before their ability to manage those feelings. In today's webinar, we will be looking at reasons why children may be displaying some of these big emotions, what they are trying to tell us when this happens, and then we will also be looking at what strategies we can use when your child is displaying these big emotions. Children are not always able to communicate their needs and wants, which can lead to frustrations and in turn a meltdown. Sometimes, children may want to do something that they are not allowed to do or unable to, which also leads them to feelings of anger and frustration. Things sometimes don't go the way they planned, and their inability to understand why leads them to get upset. Lastly, children are developing emotional self-regulation, so they are not always able to manage their feelings on their own. So what is your child trying to tell you when they are displaying these big emotions? Sometimes they need help to organize their feelings. They may not know or understand why they are feeling sad or angry, so they need us to help them with labeling these feelings as well as to help them to understand that it's okay to feel this way. Sometimes they just need us to give them emotional support. As adults, we need to be the bigger person to help them to feel safe. And finally, your child might be trying to tell you that they need help to self-regulate. So we need to teach them what to do when they are feeling this way and how to get them back into a calm zone. There are a couple of theories that explain why children display big emotions at times. One of these theories is Dan Seigal's flipping your lid theory. This theory explains how the part of our brain that controls emotional responses and decision making can sometimes stop functioning when we get tired, anxious, or when something unplanned happens. The short video that we will be showing you next explains in very simple terms how this theory works.
One of the most rewarding experiences for me has been to study brain science and apply it to the experience of parenting. And the hand model of the brain that I use to teach parents is very useful to understand that. So if you take your thumb and put it in the middle of your palm, put your fingers over the top, this is a very useful model of the brain. And when we can actually see in front of us what's going on in the brain, then we can change what the brain does. So let me walk you through very basically what happens in this brain and the structures in it. And it goes like this. The spinal cord comes up representing the wrist, and then you have coming up into the skull the brain stem and the limbic area, which work together to help regulate arousal and your emotions and the way you have a fight, flight, freeze response. These are below the cortex, the limbic and brainstem areas, and the cortex is this higher part of the brain that allows us to perceive the outside world, to think and reason. And this frontmost part of the brain, right behind your forehead, so the person's oriented like this, is actually the part that regulates the subcortical, limbic, and brainstem areas. This regulation is very important because sometimes we can have all sorts of things happen in our life. We're tired, we're exhausted, someone pushes a particular emotional button, and we can flip our lids. So rather than being tuned in and connected and balanced and flexible, we can lose all of that flexibility, even lose moral reasoning, and act in ways that are terrifying to others, including our children. Now, you can actually bring yourself back online and come back to the high road and make a repair with your child, and that's important to explain to them. And you can also use this hand model of the brain to explain to children, even as young as 5 and 6, how to understand when their emotions are rising up from the brainstem and limbic areas here, and how it's overriding the prefrontal area and making it so they may be about to flip their lids. So I've had kids come tell me that they're about to go flip their lids and they need a break. They need a timeout. And by even just naming that, they can tame it. And that's the power of using the hand model for ourselves and our children to help us all make sense of what goes on in the emotional communication that we have in the course of day-to-day life.
Children require support to co-regulate before they can self-regulate. Therefore, it is important for adults to recognize where our children are at with their emotional regulation. Can your child self-regulate? Which means, are they able to calm themselves down after a meltdown? Or is your child co-regulating? Which means, do they need another adult to guide them through their feelings in order to calm down? When your child is flipping their lid, it is not a teachable moment. The hand has to be closed to learn. Now let's look at some things that you can do when your child is flipping their lid. Firstly, staying with them. We sometimes tend to walk away when children lose control to give them space to calm down or to give us space to calm down. But what your child is actually trying to tell you in these moments is that they need you to stay with them and take control. As adults, we have a heightened sense of anxiety ourselves, especially when our children lose control. We need to remember to remain calm in order to help our child to calm down as they take their cues from us. Letting your child know that you are there for them when they need you, no matter how long it takes for them to calm down, is very reassuring for them. Sometimes, when it seems that your child is pushing you away, it is when they need you to draw closer to them to give them a sense of security and comfort. Just a hand on their lap or a touch somewhere on them will help them feel safe. When your child is flipping their lid, they are unable to listen to words that we are saying. So try to simplify your language by using as little words as possible, or not say anything at all if you can help it. Another theory that might explain why children display big emotions is the circle of security. This parenting course describes the importance of using the theory of attachment to create a secure base and safe haven for children to feel safe to come to their trusted adult for emotional support and for help to organize their feelings. When children feel happy and content, they are able to move in and out of the circle freely and easily. When they feel unsure, anxious, or upset, they need their trusted adult to welcome them back into the circle to protect, comfort, and organize their feelings. All primary educators at SDN are trained in the circle of security to support your children through their challenging moments. Now we will look at some strategies to use when your child is displaying these big emotions. The first step is to take a deep breath, stay calm, and take control. In these moments, we need to follow what our child is asking for whenever it is possible, but we also need to take charge where necessary. It is important to note that it is okay to say no to your child in these moments as well. We then need to name to tame. This means that we need to use these moments to help your child to label their feelings and emotions by giving them the words to describe how they are feeling. For example, I can see that you are very angry at the moment. Time in rather than time out gives your child the opportunity to be close to you when they are upset. Give them a hug when they have calmed down, and then give them the opportunity to talk about what happened. Lastly, we need to reframe our thinking. In these moments, your child is not doing something to you, but instead, they need something from you. When we reframe our thinking, it really changes the scenario and allows us to provide compassion during your child's difficult time. Now that we have looked at strategies to calm your child down from these big emotions, let's now take a look at what we can do to minimize big emotions from happening in the first place. Firstly, we need to create boundaries for our children to give them a sense of feeling safe. We all need rules in our lives to keep us safe, and so do children. When we create boundaries, children will learn to know what is expected of them, which in turn leads to better self-regulation. Next, we need to offer children choice, as this gives them a sense of control. Children have very little control over their lives, and the more choice we can offer them, the more in control they will feel, which also leads to better self-regulation. Setting expectations and giving children prior warnings before something happens give children time to prepare themselves about what is going to happen next, and this in turn gives them a chance to be in control of their own actions. Then, we need to note the early cues that children are giving out. We all know our own children well, so we need to pick up on their early cues, like tired signs, hungry signs, and signs that they are starting to get overwhelmed, and then respond to them accordingly. Creating predictable, consistent, and structured routines for our children help them in regulating themselves as well. Most children cope better when they know what is going to happen next. It is important to set expectations for acceptable behaviour and for everyone involved in a child's life to follow the same routines in order to get the best out of the child. Lastly, we need to follow through with what we say to our children. If we promised our child something, we need to follow through with it. For example, if we promised our child that after packing away, we will take them to the park, we will need to be able to follow through with this promise. In the end, we need to remember that all behaviour is communication. When you feel like your child is behaving at their worst, it is then that they are needing you the most. So, take a deep breath, stay calm, take control, and lastly, draw them closer to you to help them to feel safe. Thank you.